Hello and welcome to Ask Bellco. This month, we'll talk about how to apply for a business loan. And joining us to talk about it is Aaron Kelly. He's Senior Manager of Business Services at Bellco. Aaron, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Jack.
It's great to see you again. We have you on today to talk about applying for small business loans. And we've had you on before to talk about kind of starting a small business. So if you're starting a small business and you have questions about that, hit pause on this video. Go back to the last time you see Aaron in the playlist, right? And learn about that. And then come back and watch this video where we're going to talk about applying for a small business loan. So I feel like the term small business loan is pretty self-explanatory. But let's talk a little bit about them. Why might a small business decide to go after a loan? What sort of things are they spent on? Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. A couple reasons that a business would need a loan. And there's really two different types of loan. There's the typical term loan, which is a set payment for a set number of years, similar to a car loan.
Okay, sure.
So a business could use that to purchase a piece of equipment or purchase a vehicle.
Like a truck or something.
Exactly, exactly. And then the other type of loan is the revolving line of credit. And that's more where the business would use money from the line of credit to pay short-term expenses if they needed to meet payroll, if they needed to buy inventory.
I'm kind of familiar with this. I have some extended family in farming, and they talk a lot about how you operate on credit part of the year so that you can operate on profit the other part of the year. Do I have that kind of right? Am I in the right area there?
It is similar. With a small business, they're more month to month, so they would. It might take them a month or two to get paid for a job that they've done. But in that month before that, they need money to make payroll or to buy inventory or whatever.
Okay, that makes sense. So maybe like a construction company that needs to buy materials or something like that, and they got to wait for their client to pay them back for the bill. Okay, so let's say I have my small business. I need a small business loan. What's a financial institution going to want to see from me when I come to ask for that loan?
The biggest things they're going to ask for are financial statements and tax returns. They want to look and see that the business is successful. They want to see that the business is profitable and that it generates enough money to repay the loan. So they'll ask for the last 2 to 3 years of financial statements and tax returns.
Okay.
They'll also ask for financial statements from the business owner, who will most likely be the guarantor on that loan as well.
Okay, and I want to come back to that word guarantor because I do have some questions about that. But what you described now, the 2 years of tax returns, all that kind of stuff, that sounds like a big pile of paper.
Right, it can be.
So in addition to my big pile of paper, what are they gonna ask me for? What are they gonna see? What can I kind of expect out of that?
Well, they'll want the financials and tax returns, and they'll want it. It's nice if you can bring it organized, labeled, just in a nice little package.
Is there services for that?
Sure. QuickBooks is the most popular.
You can do it yourself.
You can do it yourself. Right. If you have a bookkeeper, meet with a bookkeeper before.
Because I was going to say, I am not a numbers guy, and I feel like I would mess that up, and I would want somebody else to do it for me. But that's something you could do?
It's something we could do, sure. And it's common for the small business to bring the bookkeeper with them to the initial meeting.
Bring them along. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I want to come back to this word that you used before, guarantor, I think you said, or a guaranteed loan, or I think I've heard secured loan before. Tell me about that. Well, I'm a little hazy there.
Sure, yeah. So on the guarantee part, the guarantee is a person who will act as a secondary source of payment for the loan.
Okay.
What happens is if the business stops paying the loan, say the business shuts down, not paying the loan anymore, the lender is going to go to the guarantor or the person who guarantees the loan, and the lender is going to say, you
still owe me this money.
Still owe you this money.
So is it usually the business owner then?
Most of the time it's the business owner.
Okay.
Yeah. That's most common.
Okay,
business owner.
That makes sense. Yeah. So what if a couple of questions just based on some things that I heard. First of all, what if maybe I'm a small business owner who is getting back on my feet after, I don't know, some poor credit earlier in life? Is me having bad personal credit going to make it harder to get a small business loan?
Yeah, it does impact it, and that could be a reason to decline the loan.
Oh, okay.
You could. It's common for a spouse to be a guarantor as well on a loan.
Sense.
In situations like that, if the primary guarantee or the primary guarantor doesn't have the strong enough credit, then the spouse might.
So there are some ways around that if you end up finding that that's your kind of roadblock there.
Right.
How long do these small business loans take from like the day I apply to when I get my money?
It could easily take up to a month, even longer. If it's real clean cut and the financials are in order, and if it's a smaller loan and there's no collateral on it, then it might be it could be done in less
So it
than
seems
a
like
month.
maybe the more simplified it is, the faster the whole
quicker it
process
is,
might go.
yes,
Well, that makes
yeah.
sense, and another reason to get into QuickBooks.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about the roadblock of maybe I don't have good enough credit, but what are some other roadblocks that a small business might run into when they're trying to get a loan?
Probably the biggest is the length of time the business has been operating.
Okay.
Lenders like to see more than 2 years. Just
And we
to have
talked about that a
record.
little last time you were on.
Yeah, I just want to see that the business is up and running, it's on its feet, it's generating profits.
Sure.
So that's probably the biggest. For someone to come in and request a loan and the business is a month or two old.
Yeah,
That's
that's a little
client.
shaky proposal for any lender, I think. So that makes a lot of sense that would be a bit of a roadblock. But we did talk on the last episode, so again, go back and check it out about some resources if you don't have those kind of 2 years of tax returns and stuff like that. I feel like I have learned a lot today, and we've covered a lot of kind of the basics of small business loans. But folks at home are going to have questions that we didn't have time for today. So do you have any kind of resources or kind of specific tips and tricks you want to share with the folks at home before we go?
Sure, I think the most common is the SBA, and they have an organization under the SBA, it's called SCORE.
Yeah, and we talked about this before, but just walk me through it one more time. What is SBA SCORE?
Sure. So the SBA is a government organization, Small Business Administration,
Okay.
and one of the entities under them is a SCORE, and they have an office in Denver, and it's basically where, or one of the services that SCORE provides is business owners can go there and meet with a retired executive who has business experience, and they can provide consulting and just advice.
So you can just get some advice on being a small business.
Free advice.
And you can't do much better than free. And it feels like those are the people that are going to give you the best advice are people who are also small business owners.
Yes.
Right? That makes a lot of
they'll
sense.
point you in the right direction and do this, don't do that.
That sounds great. I learn so much every time you come on the show. So I'm going to ask you right now, will you come back sometime?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Anytime.
Aaron, it was so great to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Jack.
And thank you all for watching. Now remember, you can always send us your questions using that hashtag on social media, AskBellco. We'll see you next time.